Two things immediately stand out when it comes to the 40XXV. It's that massive display and the way that this thing feels to the touch. That slight matte effect, almost giving it a somewhat soft touch, is actually quite desirable. So this review unit was sent in by Anbernics, so big shout out to Wild for having that sent to me. Also, this came with a pretty cool carry case, which most of these Anbernic devices do. I'm just going to quickly run through a few of the more important specs. Those of you in the community know well enough about this device already, but for those of you that don't, feel free to pause it as what you see, or just hit the link in the description below so you can get more information. So you've got a choice of 3 variants. You've got the white, you've got the transparent black, and you've got the indigo blue, starting from a 64 gig up to a 256 gig. That'll be the SD card that comes with it. So far, the pricing starts at 59.99 USD, but that is only available from the first 72 hours. After the first 72 hours of that being out, it's going to jump back to the 66.99 USD. The screen is a 4-inch IPS screen with a OCA full lamination and a resolution of 640 by 480. Yep, we've got the H7 quad-core ARM Cortex chip, RAM LPDDR4 at 1 gig. There is expandable memory. The one that I've got is a 64 gig one. It does have Bluetooth and it has Wi-Fi, which is great. You play various multimedias on there as well. Yeah, the battery is a 3200 mAh, lasting about 6 hours, so it's smaller than a few of its predecessors, but it's more than enough to get the job done anyways. And yeah, all the information will be in the link in the description below. It's a warm day today. There's a lot to unpack and discuss. We're going to take a tour. Let's go in. As far as the plastic is concerned and around the device and the way that it feels, for a device that's under $70, it feels more premium than its predecessors, the 35XX Plus and the 28XX, those devices. This one feels a lot better. The texture's a bit different. It's even slightly different from the 40XXH as well. And it doesn't just end there. You got that sort of matted feel that goes around it on the back as well. It's on the triggers as well. It feels pretty good. It's even on the D-pad right here. In terms of the size of it, it's bigger than or longer than the 35XX Plus. But it feels thinner, maybe because of the length of it. I mean, don't take my word for it. Look at this guy. He's carrying it with him and he's at a christening. He's putting it inside of his regular pockets, puts it inside of his inside pocket, and it seems to be fitting just well, just snug. So in terms of portability, it doesn't seem to be doing a bad job. You can take it pretty much anywhere. Obviously, you've got your case with it as well, so you can always use that as an option. Personally, I'd rather just keep something like this in the inside pocket, in my blazer or my jacket, whatever I'm wearing on the day, because it is quite light as well. It doesn't feel particularly heavy. So Anbernic have done a fantastic job adding this huge 4-inch display, 640 by 480, lovely resolution. Games that tend to be stronger with their primary colors, they're vibrant and they show up really well on this thing. Another thing about this display, it's really clean. It didn't come with a screen protector. However, it feels as if there's one already sort of on there, which, you know what, that saves us the trouble because them things can be a bit fiddly anyway. But just looking at the angles, the viewing angles are pretty good. They're not too shabby. I think overall, it just makes for a more comfortable gaming experience. You can see everything you need to see on there. Another thing to mention is that even on a sunny, bright day like this, it performs pretty well. The backlight display on this is very strong, making it a lot more easier and comfortable when you're outside in more of a lit setting, so to speak, or if you're out there in the sun. It makes it a lot more visible just because of that backlight, and it doesn't affect the colors too much. I mean, you don't want to be outside in blinding light, but it doesn't do bad. And it doesn't do too badly at night as well. It might not go as dim as you'd like it to, but it's dim enough for you to play it and not maybe cause anybody else around you any issues. And if they are a bit annoyed that you're playing it in bed with them, just tell them to cover the blankets over their head or something while you play. You've got your action buttons on there. They're nice and they're shiny, so they don't match the texture of the outer shell of the device, but they do feel decent. There's quite a decent bit of travel. They don't feel particularly stiff. Some of you might get them that feel that way. You just need to wear them in a little bit. You've got your start, You've got your select and you've got your menu button that allows you to do a bunch of things like going into RetroArch, so that helps. So let's talk D-pad. Feels decent. It does feel like the D-pad on the SNES pad, and it might be just because of the size of the actual D-pad itself. It's not too big, not too small, and it feels all right. That slight matte texture on it makes it a lot more easier to use. Let's have a quick test of some Fireball games. Yeah, no issues. I'm not finding any issues in banging out Fireballs. It's coming out relatively well. I mean, sometimes it won't, and that's just my bad user inputs. Hurricane kicks will work. Dragon punches are not an issue. And even some super Fireball moves as well. They won't be a problem on this. So something a little different to the Contra test, sort of similar premise, but in a different way. What we're gonna do is use charge characters like a Remy or Guile, for example, just to see how it works. So you can hold it in one direction for a couple of seconds and then switch it over to the next and then bang out your move. So let's just have a look here and see how that works. And to be honest with you, it's not bad at all. To me, this is more of a realistic setting for it, and it works just fine. Okay, now let's move on to the analog stick. Personally, I think that the analog stick's all right. I like the RGBs in there. I mean, if you want to save some extra power, you can do that. There seems to be a decent amount of travel. It's not too shabby. I think that it's better to have one than two on a device like this. I think having two analog sticks on here just makes it feel a little more uncomfortable, but one is okay, and then it allows you to move around freely. It works with a bunch of other games, not just your arcade games. You can play your PSP, your N64 and your Dreamcast with this analog stick as well, which helps. It clicks in, so you've got that feature and function, and overall it feels okay. Also on the front, you've got your traditional sort of Game Boy style speaker grill and speaker here. On the bottom, you've got your OTG and DC in, and you've got your headphone jack there. Along the top, you do have your HDMI out. We're gonna play and have a look at that and see how that works. You've also got your power LEDs up there. It would have been good if they had it on the side like an original Game Boy, but hey, look, it is what it is. So on the right hand side, you've got your power switch, you've got your reset button, and they are slightly recessed in there so you won't accidentally press them. You've also got your TF2 card slot here, which that's where you can put your games, so that's great. On the left hand side, you've got your volume rocker, that's also recessed, and then you've got your TF1 slot. This is the one that you will use to put your firmware in, so please don't mix those up and make a mistake with that. On the back, you've got your triggers, your L1, your L2, your R1, your R2. Slight diagonal sort of angular sort of positioning here, which by right should make it feel a lot more comfortable. Some of you may have an issue where you're accidentally pressing them. So on the back here, you do have your information on what the device is and battery power and voltage. You've also got these handle grooves where, you know, you place your hands on there and it should make things feel more comfortable. I mean, personally, it's all right, I guess. I'm not expecting too much from it because it is all plastic. Some of you may like it, some of you may not. Either way, it does a little bit of a job anyway, but it's there. Can't be mad. So let's talk stock OS on this thing. It's not particularly great to look at. And for those of you that have been in the community long enough, will already know just how long it's been out, how it performs and what it can do. But for those of you that are new to this line of devices, I'll just give you a quick rundown just to show you what it does look like and what it can do. It is a smooth, easy pick up and play and out of the box experience. You can tell just by using it that it's been refined over the time that it's been out. And this particular chipset has been out for months now. So Anbernic have had a good opportunity and chance to experiment, test new things out, see how it works and do whatever tweaks that need to be done in order to make the community happy. One of those nice refinements about this device is the fact that the sleep mode actually works really well with it. Me, myself, I'm old fashioned. I'll just pick it up and just switch it off in the settings just to save that extra battery power. But the sleep function is there. There are a bunch of settings on there that are pretty useful. For one, you've got the search function on there, which is pretty cool. You can also mess around with the backlight so you know how bright you want to have it. You can adjust and tweak many things in the options, as you can see right here. Another very welcome refinement are these bezels that you get along the display. Not the display itself, but more so dependent upon each of the systems that you're playing. For example, if you look at these, you've got the Game Boy, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. Some of them look better than others. I mean, the not so great one is the Super Nintendo, but I'm still happy that it's there and it's great to have. And I'm sure at some point you could probably add your own. I don't know how those things work, but I'm sure you can add your own or tweak them along with the shaders. So Anbernic did a great job with that right there. So this is as good a time as any to show some performance and gameplay. But before that, if you've watched the video up to this point, please hit that like button, and dropping a subscribe would do wonders for the channel. Anything from PlayStation 1 and below will run fantastically. It'll be really smooth. You may run into a little hiccup with some of those PS1 titles, but the majority of that library will run smoothly. But for the most part, I'm going to show just the higher end systems just to see what they can do. And I'm just going to leave it right there. Guys, enjoy.
How could anyone do this? James, I tried. Don't underestimate the enemy. James, take this. やっぱり豚か。豚は豚小屋へ行け。そうか、使いするとはいい度胸じゃないか。The time of retribution. That one decide the destiny.
Likes and dislikes. Let's start off with the likes. Firstly, I like the fact that there's a massive community behind it. I don't utilize this as much, but the community have done a great job. Well, the devs especially have done a great job in making new custom firmwares for this device, and there's always something out due to the sheer numbers of devices with this particular chipset. Secondly, those tweaks and refinements that I spoke on earlier, those are a great addition. The easy pick up and play out of the box experience is great, and Anbernic have done a fantastic job in making that smooth and seamless, despite if you like the way that it looks or not. Thirdly, that massive 4-inch display. It really pops, it's really vibrant. I like the fact that the device itself is just nice, it's easy to hold, it's not too big, it's not too small, and it's lightweight, making it nice, easy and pocketable. And lastly, that D-pad. This is probably the best D-pad that I've used on a vertical device. Dare I say that this is probably the best vertical device that's out there at the moment. Now for the dislikes. Those trigger buttons. It's not the fact that I may accidentally hit one during gameplay. It's not even that. But it is those really loud, quickie, tactile sounds. They're just a bit much. So I might make those small amendments that Zoo showed in his review. So I'll make use of that. I think that's it. It's just, in my opinion, it's just those triggers, man. That's it. My final conclusion is, dare I say, this is probably the best vertical handheld that's on the market right now, especially in this price range. I would definitely recommend this Vertical RG40XXV. Anbernic, fantastic job. Guys, I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to hit that like button, drop a subscribe, take care, stay safe, and peace.